Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this month's East Oakland Susu Lending Circle uh, webinar, workshop, financial literacy, everything. We are welcoming back our good friend Jasper Smith of the Build Wealth Movement, who was with us last month, sharing his amazing tips, tricks, and info and knowledge on understanding credit. This month, we're bringing Jasper back, and he's actually decided to come back with us to talk about why investing is for everyone. And without further ado, we want to introduce you to Mr. Jasper Smith. Jasper?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. We're going to have a good time tonight. And just like last time, I want this to be engaging as possible because this is about you. This is about, investing. This is about how investing is for everyone. And I want you all to be comfortable enough to ask your questions and just leverage the chat to tell us what you've heard about investing, tell us what you think about. I'm going to assume somebody's already curious about cryptocurrency, so I'm gonna go ahead and just throw that out there right now. If you got some questions around that, we can talk about it. I'll tell you kind of how I feel about it, my thoughts around it, and just investing stuff in general that you've heard, or if you have a story you like to share or bring into the conversation. Like I really love when these are conversations more so than me just kind of giving you information, because again, I'll talk forever if you want me to, but I, want to make sure you get the most out of this time that we have together tonight. So, um, if this is your first time, oh, you know what? I just thought about it. Since we're using webinar mode, Satori, hmm, are we still able to send stuff directly to the attendees, kind of like one-on-one? I haven't used webinar mode a lot, but I'm just curious to know if we can still
Yes,
do it.
use the chat function to message everyone.
Okay. I'm trying to see. All right. All right. Nigeria's her first time. Okay. Okay. So just so everybody knows, fun thing we're gonna do tonight. So I, as a part of this partnership with the East Oakland Collective, I want to give away my book. And so what I'm going to do at some point, maybe within maybe another 20 minutes after we kind of get started, I'm gonna pause and then we're just going to send out links. And all I want people to do is like redeem the link to get their free e-copy of my book. So I know if we don't do it on the spot, then we're gonna get busy and y'all gonna say, oh, I didn't get the link or I forgot. So I figure let's just do it live and we'll figure out how to best do that. And I think it might be easiest if we do it through the chat. So while I might have people do, if it's not a super large number, we'll just go in order, and that way I can just like go down the list and then I'll like copy and paste the link. You click it and just say it's redeemed, and then we'll get back into that. Thanks, Tori. Yeah, so perfect, perfect. All right, so we're talking about investments tonight, and if this is your first time joining or your first time interacting with me, again, my name is Jasper Smith, also known as Mr. Bill Wealth, and I am I'm working on something, and the something is it's a problem in this country, specifically around our willingness or unwillingness to venture off into the world of investing. And because I have an expertise in this arena and have spent my entire professional career, I just feel like there's not a good reason why you shouldn't be doing it now. And that's just my honest opinion around. I think everybody should be investing. Some of you may not even consider yourself an investor, but you probably are, but you don't think of yourself that way. And the reason I say that is because I have client meetings sometimes, or even during some of these sessions, when people say, well, I'm not an investor. And then I'll ask you about your job. You're like, oh, yeah, I got a 401k or a 403b. I'm like, you're an investor. So some people don't even realize that the retirement benefit that their employer offers, if they offer one, that's an investment. But for the strangest reason, we don't think about that as investing, right? And it's just, it's a little word, it's a little weird, but I started to realize that people don't think of themselves as such. And so I want to encourage you to begin to just believe that, hey, I am an investor. I am capable, and there are different platforms that you can leverage to assist you with getting started. You don't have to have a lot of money. That's another big, I'll say, objection that I get. Well, I don't have enough money or I can't afford it. Yeah, that excuse was good many years ago, but now it's not a really good excuse. So I'm going to ask you not to give me those type of excuses as to why you're not investing. And I'll say outside of your retirement account through your employer, because there are just too many opportunities for you to get it done. So the Build Wealth movement has a mission, and it's 3 words: disrupt generational poverty. That's what I'm on. Investing can do that for you. Working hard is only going to get you so far. You can only work so many hours in the day. And so that's why I'm glad we're really focusing in on this topic of investing tonight, because in order for us to have this disruption in our communities, investing is a very key component. And if you think about poverty, it's generational. You know, your mom or dad or parents were poor, their parents were poor, their parents were poor. And so now you may be looking at yourself like, gosh, why am I still in this mess? And it's not completely your fault. So don't beat yourself up, too much. Give yourself some grace. You just never got the memo. I look at, personally with my family, it's my parents didn't grow up with no money. so I think for them it was, we just expect to do better. That's it. And that was the secret sauce to them. And so with them making that decision to do something different, to have a higher expectation, then I was the beneficiary of that. That I'm fortunate to have that, I guess, lottery ticket, that I was born into this family, or parents who understood that we're going to do things a little bit different. And they looked and analyzed their upbringing and said, well, if we have children, let's try something a little different. Not perfect, and it never will be, but do something drastically different. Because if you don't, the cycle will continue. Will continue. It's no secret that a lot of people in my family avoid me, literally. And a lot of them aren't doing that well financially. I'm like, I'm family. So if you can't come to me, who are you going to? So I want to encourage all of you to be willing and courageous enough to be the person to disrupt generational poverty in your family. It's not going to be easy. Some things you're just not going to know. So you got to do like everybody else. We got to learn as we go. So if this is your first time kind of having this kind of honest dialogue or discussion, I'm thankful to the East Oakland Collective for being able to share this information with you, because that's where we've got to get to that point to where we're just comfortable talking about investing and talking about money. And if we do that, we will disrupt generational poverty. It's possible. There are countless rags to riches story. Countless. They not special, y'all. Just so y'all know, like, these people they're not geniuses. They're not prodigies. They're not, the top people in their class in terms of education. Like, these are just average people who figured it out. I have clients who make a ton of money. I'll give you a lot of examples. So I got a client or clients, young couple. They make, I think, close to $500,000 a year, and they're kind of just getting by. And so when you think about, like, how's that possible? Well, they haven't disrupted their way of thinking. So you make close to $500,000 a year, and they have a 6-year-old son, and I think they have one expecting, they want to have one more. But I'm thinking, like, how are you setting the tone for your son and this next child? So you have some say in how the family structure is designed. So wealthy families, just so everybody knows, they plan these lives for their kids, for their offspring. And if the parents don't do it and the grandparents have the means to do so, then they skip their kids and then go take care of the grandkids. But there's always a plan in place as to how this disruption occurs. If we're going to pursue a certain type of profession, then you are well aware what professions pay the most money. Everybody knows. So I'm not telling you not to follow your passion and your heart, but just know our society will not compensate you. So if you know that going into a career field, investing is important for you because your employer may not ever pay you what you're worth, but you can leverage that money you are earning and invest it. So I have some wonderful teacher clients, and I don't care where you are in the country, they're never gonna pay teachers enough. But I got some teachers who invest, who are ferocious savers, who put money in their retirement accounts, and so they maximize the dollars that they do earn. So I'm not one of the ones you can give me an excuse because I see too many people who have similar situations, and then I see the different outcomes, and that comes with experience. So I plan on disrupting generational poverty, and hopefully you all will join me on this quest. All right, so we got to have some goals. This applies to every part of your financial plan, but especially investing. And I want you to be thinking about these things as we go through the session tonight. You got to have a quick win. And this is something you can do today, tomorrow, next week. It's got to be quick. It could be as quick as I am interested in a certain company's stock. And maybe you just go look up the stock online. Success, baby. That's a quick win. All you did was you took that step. If that's what it takes, congratulate yourself. It's okay to be happy that you made that first step. See, we don't celebrate those quick wins or those easy wins, but you need that when you're new to this investing world or anything for that matter. And once you get some quick wins under your belt, then we go for the big wins. So if you looked up the certain, I say stock, and you're like, I'm gonna get invested and I'm gonna put, $50 a month into it or whatever, then maybe you say, hey, in 6 months, I want to see what that thing is gonna do. And maybe you start to track it. And in 6 months, you're like, here's what I know about this stock. And that's a big win. You were thinking about doing it, you did it, you've been tracking it, and now you're there. And so the last thing is think about your ongoing victories. These are your habits. And we've all got some bad ones, and we got to kick them. We got to get rid of them. And so when you think about investing, think about what you're invested in. You may have the habit of always spending money in a certain sector or a certain type of company, or maybe you're focused only on one area, and maybe you're comfortable there, but we talk about diversification and all that kind of stuff and spreading things out. And so maybe there are some things you could be doing from an investment standpoint to increase your chances of earning more, but also looking at your habits in terms of your lifestyle and your spending habits, where we probably have some extra dollars we could be investing, but we're not directing those dollars in the proper manner. So I want you all to think about the goals for yourself as you go through this session tonight on investing, but just know these goals can apply to any other part of your financial plan. All right. Oh, this is perfect timing. My goodness, y'all must be reading my mind. So we got a poll question. So I want you to take a moment here and answer the question. So I have, and be honest with yourself. This is a safe space. It's a judgment-free zone.
And Jasper, while we're waiting on a few more people to do the poll, we have one question from one of the guests. Would you like me to unmute her?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Najari.
Najari.
Dang, I was gonna guess Najari.
Hi, I was just wondering for the poll, are you including like the 401k thing you said, or are we just leaving that outside of it?
I didn't even think about it. You know what? Let's exclude the retirement plan through your job, because if people are doing that already, but let's exclude that for this question. All right, so the majority never invested before, done some investing. Okay, so we got quite a few who've done some investing, have a strategy. Good. This will still be a useful session this evening. I love this. I love this. I've invested a little bit, but I'm not sure what I'm doing. Look, that's a lot of people, honestly. So a lot of people don't want to admit that they're doing something. They ain't got no clue, but they've been doing something. So I appreciate the honesty there. And the folks who have never invested before, this is going to be right. This is going to be so helpful on this journey for you, and that you'll feel extreme. You should feel a lot more comfortable after tonight's session. So I'll give you that. All right. Right. All right, so let's do. So we think about investing. What goes up must come down. Check this out. So here's what the world does. Things get hot and exciting. The world's exploding. Everybody gets greedy and they want to buy. I'll put crypto in for this example. This is exactly what happened with Bitcoin years ago. Everybody was talking about it. It went up and then it crashed. And so a lot of people were buying at the very top. It crashed and then they're like, oh, I should sell it. And what we tend to do is repeat this process over and over. Now, this applies to any investment. Again, stocks, real estate, crypto, everything is a cycle. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. But if you just understand that this is wrong, I've already made you a lot of money. Now, the problem with this is it's always going to be a challenge to know when you're at the exact top and when you're at the exact bottom. Just tough, because with investing, you're always looking backwards. So unlike a bank account, there's no guaranteed rate of return. And I think that's a part of people's fear is that, well, I want to know what I'm getting. You won't know. But you won't make any money if you don't take a chance. So you got to keep that in mind. So this is what everybody does, and this is what you should do. And this is hard because again, you don't know the exact top, the exact bottom. So you're like, well, what day, when, this is going to be indicative on you. And it is important for you to sell at the top. That's where you're going to make the most money. But most people, when they freak out and sell out, what you do is you lock in that loss. So as you're going down, you're like, I'm losing money, losing money, losing money, losing money. Oh my God, I can't take it. The news and social media is killing me. And my family keeps asking I should get out. And then you get out. So then you locked in all that loss going down. You got out. And so now you never give yourself a chance for it to rebound. Now, some things actually some companies go out of business. So generally speaking, there's always the exception to the rule, but more than likely when it goes down, if you understand your strategy, then just wait it out. And if it's something that you say, you just want to cut your losses and move on, you do it. But some of us need to wait it out and know that it's going to dip down and come back up. So then you'd have an opportunity to re-earn or recoup what you lost. So this is a good diagram that I do for any intro course to investing, because the reality is in 2008 and 9, people sold out at the bottom. And I'm going to give a retirement example. So these were people who were nowhere near retirement age, meaning they had a long time left to work. And they were like, I can't take all the losses. I got to get out. My 401k is a 201k or a 101k. They were making this little joke. And so I said, well, you're not retiring today, so you should probably just let it ride. And some people did, recouped all their money and made a lot, because they marked the bottom at around February or March 2009. And then roughly until pretty much close to 2020, stock market just went up. All that loss you had, you recouped it and made a lot more if you stayed in. Some people got out. Some people adjusted their investments and went very conservative. So if you all can just remember these two diagrams, just internalize it, you will make a lot more money. And it's okay selling if you made some good money. I'm never gonna say sell it all, but as a part of your strategy, if you know made it, let's just use a rough number. Let's say you made $1,000. Maybe you carve out 500 and leave 500 invested. Oh, somebody's chewing. Somebody hit the mute. Oh, thank you. So just remember these diagrams, and you'll save yourself a lot of heartache. And it just when the world starts going crazy and you see the media talking about something in particular, just keep these diagrams in mind. And if you can just remember that, you're gonna do yourself a wonderful service. All right. I'm gonna pause here for a second because I know we're about to get into it, but I wanna I'm gonna pause just for a second here because I want to give out and do this book giveaway while we're here because I want everybody to take advantage of one, you attended, and two, we got a lot of stuff to give away. So I want let me stop sharing here for a second. And so we got 12 attendees. So we got plenty. So I kind of want to go in order, tutorial if we can to and tutorial, if you have the list available, we can kind of tag team it if you like. I brought it up. So I know from, I'll say cell number 3 is where we're starting. If you take the odd numbers, I'll take the even. if that's helpful. And
Yeah, that works.
So I said odd, you do odd, I do even, right?
Correct.
And so we can just go down the list of the participants, and then so every odd person, you just send them a link, or and that way they'll have it. Let's see. So if y'all want to sit tight for a second, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this book giveaway very quickly. So I'm gonna take all the even numbered people, and I am going to send you a link so you can claim your free copy of my book. So if bear with us, if you need to take a little break right quick, run to the restroom, grab you something to drink, a snack, feel free. We're gonna take a quick pause in the action. I'm gonna give out these links to the book. All right. So I'm asking everybody to do that. Once you receive your link, just go ahead and click it. Oops. And that will and just go ahead and click it and redeem your copy. So that way we can go ahead and knock these out here. So that way you'll have it. If you need to take a break and come back, just know you'll have the link sitting for you in the chat when you get back if you have to step out really quickly. So at least this gives you plenty of time to click your link. This is free game. My book is very easy to read. Like you're gonna be like, he made financial planning is that easy? Yes, it really is. And that was the whole point of me doing this book, was to really show people that it ain't that hard, y'all. Society has told us it's supposed to be challenging, that only certain people are supposed to do these things, and I completely disagree. Oh, we lost some people here. All right. We lost some. Oh, we lost one tutorial, but I'm gonna do, I guess I'm gonna do Rico, because I just somebody dropped off as I was about to send one. So okay, all right, cool. All right.
All right, awesome. Have all the books been given away yet?
So, yeah, I think we're good to go.
We're all set.
All right. I feel better now. I'm gonna sleep good tonight, knowing that you all will have this book in your possession. And yeah, feel free to quick plug here. After you read it, if you would be so kind as to leave a review on Amazon, that would be helpful. Whatever you want to say, however long, but it's all about getting these reviews. So, you know, it's not a heavy read, just so everybody knows. I mean, you probably could read it maybe 30 minutes, 35 or 40 if you read slow like me. But it's it's just to give you some background, it is a set of questions that I used to ask potential clients, just so I could see kind of where they were before we started planning. And what I found in my experience has been some people just can't answer simple questions, or they haven't done enough, um, I'll say, time with themselves. Like they haven't spent that time. And so if you can just answer these questions honestly, because it's for you, So if you feel like, hey, this one question is too heavy, you got to put the book down, just stop right there. Just be open to doing it, telling the truth, because this is for you. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna hop back into the presentation. All right. So hopefully you all are back with me here, and just know we gotta remember this diagram. All right. So let me explain this diagram here. So how an investment account works came about when I was a financial advisor who worked in a bank, and everybody who came into the bank would say, "Oh, if I open up an account with you, Jasper, I'm gonna lose all my money tomorrow." And I was like, "No, that's not exactly true on how this thing works." Now, some of the apps that have been created since this diagram was drawn, I mean, you pretty much you can place the money into the investments right after you open the account. But this still holds true for all these accounts, even on the apps, just because you open the account and put money in it doesn't necessarily mean it's in the market. And hopefully that makes sense. But I'll kind of walk you through the diagram where when you make that first deposit, it goes into, and I call it cash. So this is usually like some money market, or it's your safe haven until you decide what to invest. So if you make money, deposit money into an account, and then you get cold feet and want to take it out, you can. It's no harm, no foul. It was never invested. But let's say you put the money in, and then now you have to make the decision on what to buy. And so I just made a couple of examples of what people were familiar with at the time. So now you got to decide to buy something. And the way these things work is you can have money at all times in the investment account in cash and some, and I'll say in the market. So if I had $100 in cash and I bought a stock and put 50 in, so now I got 50 left in cash, I have $50 worth of this stock. Okay. So let's say the stock has a good year and it doubles your money. So now you have $100 in stock, you still have the $50 left in cash. So your account balance when you see your statement will say $150, but it's broken down 50 in cash, 100 in stock, or 100 in stock. And so if you're like, hey, I want to sell some, you kind of place the trade, sell off. Let's say you sell off half, you leave $50 of stock in there, or $50 worth of stock, sell off the 50. So now you have 100 back in the cash, and you still have $50 worth of stock. And so I had to really explain this to people because I think most people did not know this is how investment accounts work. And I feel like if people took the time to explain this, and as you can see, this is hand drawn. So I literally sat at my desk one day and I was like, how can I explain investment accounts so that way people understand their money isn't lost just by opening an account with me? And I ended up printing this out and I laminated, this diagram, and I would just put it on my desk. And so when I kept getting that, now if I sit down with you, I'm gonna lose my money. I would just pull this diagram and say, do you know how an investment account works? And I would have this diagram handy. So you can have an investment account and not be technically investing in anything because the money could just be sitting in cash. And I share this with you because I found this also to be true, that some people who have started some investment programs, they'll say I have an investment account, but it's not making me any money. And what I always find out is that the money was just sitting in that cash. And again, cash, I want everybody to think about, it's like a money market. It's a savings account. Think about that. If you had to think of what is it equivalent to, it's just like your money in a savings account. You're going to make next to nothing in interest, and your money's just going to sit there and hang out and wait to be decisioned. So if you ever talk to anybody like, well, my account's not performing, just ask them, are you actually invested? And again, I started finding this out. The more questions I asked, I kept finding out that people just didn't know how these things work. So for some of these people who were sitting in cash, we would have an investment conversation, and then we would place a trade and put some money into the market. So hopefully this has been helpful in terms of breaking down how these accounts work. And so a strategy you may think about is, if you're not necessarily ready to invest, it's still worth you maybe putting the money in, because when you are ready, you just want to like get in and get it done. And so granted, technology has improved again since I drew this diagram many years ago. But if I'm ready to make a decision, I don't want to have to waste time doing the transfer. So a good rule of thumb could be keeping some money in cash is helpful, because you know you're going to deploy it fairly soon. So the money's already sitting there waiting for you to place into action. All right. And feel free to, anybody, if you have questions as I'm going along, feel free to stop, pause me, raise your hand, just let me know. Because again, some of this stuff, it will blow by it pretty quickly. But again, this session is for you. So even if you've never invested before, I still want you to ask some of those questions that you may have been afraid to ask. Because again, this is a safe space and there is no judgment. It's just, I'd rather you ask the question here and get the right answer. So, feel free to chime in at any point if you do have a question or even a comment or a concern. So this is very important. Risk. So let me ask a question of the group. Do you all think there's any risk with your bank accounts or your accounts you have at a credit union? just punch into the chat if you think there's no risk, or yeah, let me know if do you think there's any risk by keeping your money in the bank? And if so, I want you to punch your response into the chat. Okay. I like that, Brittany. Okay, okay, good. All right. All right, good. So I got a good group. See, y'all know what y'all doing out here. All right, so here's the reality. And again, I'm just telling y'all just from experience. I got into an argument once around this, which is why I asked the question. So a, a, a customer had come into the bank and was complaining about interest rates, which everybody knows are low across the board. Big bank, small bank, big credit union, small credit union, interest rates just aren't that high as they used to be. And so the gentleman was arguing. He was like, I stay in cash, I keep it safe, I like CDs and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, there's risk in that, right? He's like, no, there's no risk. There's no risk in all this cash and keeping my money safe. Like I can go to sleep at night knowing my money's safe. And I said, okay, so let me share with you why that's incorrect. There's risk in everything, even the safe stuff. And here's why there's risk with you staying in cash. So I got some people I know, I love staying in cash. Well, you're losing out to what's called purchasing power or inflation risk. So your dollar today is not going to be the same as a dollar 20 years from now. So an easy example is just think back how much a loaf of bread, eggs, or milk cost back in the year 2000. It's not the same price today. So when people say, oh, there's no risk in my bank, they're saying that because if you're in a bank, it's FDIC insured. Yeah, that's if the bank goes under, or it's the NCUA has the same setup for credit unions. But there's risk. There's risk that you're going to make no money. So here's what I want to share with you is you feel comfortable going to sleep at night knowing you didn't lose any money, but you ain't making no money. That's the reality of keeping your money safe or staying in cash. So if you're like, I'm keeping my money in my shoebox, my safe, whatever you have at the house, that's fine. I'm always good. I'm always fine with you having a little bit of money on you. That's a good thing. But if you're trying to make some money and you're not taking any risk, just know, don't expect to make a lot of money. So sleep at night knowing you're going to make next to nothing. And that's okay with you, go right ahead. But if I want to really put my money to work, I have to think about my risk tolerance. So on the far end of the spectrum is the very high. So very high would be, I'm investing in a company that just started, that's in an undeveloped or third world country. That is risky. No guarantee that the company's even going to survive. But if it does, the people who invested early are going to make a pretty penny because the odds were not in their favor that this business in this third world country could be successful. So there is a lot of risk in that. And some people, they're fine with that. I'm fine. I want to put my money to work. So in case it works out, I'm going to be okay. And if it doesn't, I'm aware of the risk that I'm okay with losing that money. And Najee, if you got the, I just saw the question about the book. If you got the link, just click on the link, and that'll prompt you to redeem your copy. And just post in the chat, I think, Tutorial, if you see that too, just if the link did not work, or if we missed you by accident, Tutorial, if you don't mind just sending her that link so she can claim her copy of the book. Okay, perfect. So back to this risk thing. So here's the thing you got to think about. My investing strategy may involve multiple buckets or multiple accounts, and maybe I take varying levels of risk with the different types of investment accounts that I have. So, for example, I have an account where I invest in the stock market, like the S&P 500. So it's risky because it's stocks, but it's a lot of them. So I feel comfortable knowing that I'm taking, it's more of a moderate type of risk. And I know that's going to be there. I put money into it consistently. And so I'm not expecting that to, go through the roof. Like it's not as risky as some other things that I do, but it's not as safe and conservative as my checking or savings account. Like it can do a little something for me. But on the same vein, like I have a checking account because I have to pay bills. So that's very low on the risk scale. If I like CDs, maybe I want a little bit more risk than, you know, the savings account, the high yield money market. You can look at CDs, so you can stay in kind of that very low to lower risk profile, but just know you're not going to make a lot of money. And again, I'm not going to try to steer you one way or the other. It's just reality. So when I talk about risk, I love to give this analogy because I think it'll kind of get you comfortable with investing. So if you're in a job right now, and let's say you're like, you know what, I should be the manager. Well, have you taken a step to even apply to be the manager? Have you taken on additional assignments? Have you been a good team player? Like, what types of steps have you taken? Because you just wanting to be the manager, but not doing anything to help you means you're very low or low on the risk profile of you getting this managerial job. But you got to take a chance. You got to tell somebody you would like to pursue this leadership role and then kind of put yourself out there. Because if you don't, the alternative, you're going to stay in the current position. And so hopefully that was a good kind of way to think about investing, is that if you want more, you're going to have to do a little bit more. So the people who say, I just want to make a lot of money, well, what kind of time are you putting in to get it done? And just know that I have to remember that I may need multiple accounts because maybe I want to invest a little bit differently. So anytime you're thinking about investing, you have to know your risk preference. And this comes up a lot. I say we'll talk about crypto in a little bit, but it comes up a lot with that. It's very risky. And I have people who've never invested before blowing me up about cryptocurrency. You can't even tell them about your risk profile. So let's hit the pause button a little bit and think about, have we thought about these things ahead of time? Okay. So time, important. How long are you trying to invest? 1 month, you're trying to do a quick flip, good luck. It's going to be risky. Some things could happen, right? Is it, I'm going to buy this and stay in it for a long time? Maybe, maybe not. What's your time horizon? So if it's retirement, then, depending on where you are in your career, that may be 20, 30 years out. I don't need you to play around a lot with that account, because you just need to put money in and watch it work for you over the next 20, 30 years. My money's in a checking account because the money comes and goes. So the time parameters for that it's not as long. Like, I need money tomorrow to pay a bill. Great. So I don't need to lock that up. I don't also want to try to invest money that I need. So let me say this to everybody. You should always think about investing money you do not need. So if I need the money to pay my rent or my mortgage, I should not put that in the stock market. I'm not saying the stock market won't help you make money, but if it goes the other way and you need to pay your rent, not a good look for you. So any investment decision you're making, think about your time parameter. You got to think about how long you want to be in it. And if you don't beforehand, just hit the pause button. A lot of you said you've never invested before, but just think, hey, I'm picking this investment. Do I see myself getting out in a year, 6 months? If I made a lot of money, do I get cash out? So time is a big factor with investing because of taxes. So for most investments, you want to at least try to hold it for a year if you can. But I know people say, well, I made a lot of money, I want to cash out. Okay, you're going to pay taxes on that growth. And that's okay. But time is your friend. So the sooner you start investing, the easier it might potentially be to achieve your goals. Here's a good example. So if I just started my job, let's say, whether I went to college or not, let's say you start working at 21. And let's just say you start putting in, $50 to $100 a month. If you stay consistent with that, you're going to have a good piece of change by the time you're 50 or 60. So if you wait, you're just gonna put up more money because you have less time. Time is the equalizer. They always say start now. You waiting does not help you with investments because it happens like this. It just keeps going. Opportunities come and they go. Opportunities come and they go. Opportunities come, they go. Don't ever feel bad for missing out. Just know there'll be something else. There'll be something else. There'll be something else. It's always going to be something else because we're always moving forward in this world. Okay? So just always try to remember time. All right, pause. I got a good question here in the chat. Let's see. I like this question. This is good. So I'll read it to the group. If you have a mutual fund and a lump sum of money, is it better to invest over a period of time or all at once? So this is good because it depends. It depends on what the goal is. And what I mean by that is some people, when they have, let's say this $10,000, they just want to drop it in and go back to their life. Now, what that does is, you're buying, this fund or some shares at a particular moment in time. And so your cost is kind of locked in. Now, if we take the alternative of, hey, I do 100 per month until I completely invest the entire 10,000, it's going to take a little bit longer. But now you're getting it at different price points every month. So some months the price of the fund or the stock could go up and you're buying not as many shares. Other times when the price goes down, you're buying more shares. But the thing for you is that you're constantly increasing your shares over a sustained period of time. Okay, so there's no right or wrong. It's just some people feel more inclined to, if I invest the 10 right now, I can move on with my life. Some people just aren't disciplined enough or won't set up the automatic system to do the $100 per month investment. And so that $100 per month investment is a strategy that's called, or what I just described is called dollar cost averaging. And all that means is you're getting in at different price points. And so over the course of maybe a year, you're maybe paying less per share because you got in at different price points versus the person who just dropped 10,000, your price is set for the whole year. So there's no fluctuation in necessarily the amount of shares per price, because again, you place a trade at one moment in time versus doing the systematic $100 per month over a longer period of time. So there's not a right or wrong. This is one of those, it's going to be personal preference. So if you're comfortable, drop the 10, move on with your life. If you're like, hey, I want to set it up and do this 100 per month, you do that too. So you're not wrong no matter what you choose. All right, so you got to educate yourself, and this is part of your education is attending this session this evening. But I love Investopedia. This is a website. Investopedia.com has a ton of free resources. If y'all like free, you should hang out at Investopedia. They have an incredible glossary of terms, and so if there are things that you're hearing or seeing, go to Investopedia and learn all you can. They have a lot of definitions again, but on the definitions page, there are sometimes some short videos. So it's a great repository of information. NerdWallet, another highly credible source that does some similar things of just giving you really good information about the world of finance and all things related to money. Again, free. So, we tend to avoid the free stuff, which is again why we paused and did the book thing, because I want you to have it. It's free. So just spend a little bit of time, So the other one, YouTube University, is not, I don't believe in an accredited university, but YouTube is a gold mine. So one of my good buddies, he trades options. Now this is a little more risky type of investment, but he shared with me. I said, how did you learn? I said, did you take a class? He was like, nope, I just reviewed hours upon hours of options traders on YouTube. That's how he learned. And so he would take notes and watch his videos. Some people would do like lives, and he would watch, they would do it, do their trading in real time. So he was just kind of learning the lingo. And then at some point he was like, I'm opening an account and start doing it. He had incredible success, but he put the time in on YouTube. So he's He's not anything special. He just said, I don't want to pay, but I'm gonna go to YouTube and watch people who do this and are sharing it with the world. Now, the day trading thing, I always bring this up even in the intro course, because this is where people think this is where they think they're gonna be. I'm gonna be the trader. I'm gonna put some money in today. I'm gonna make $1,000 tomorrow or while I'm asleep. So any big major financial firm has a platform that can give you a ton of information about what you're going to be investing in, or if you're just curious about certain stuff, it's a lot of information. But that second point here is you're not going to be successful at day trading or anything if you don't put in the time. And I added that line in there because I have some friends and I had some clients who they just didn't like trading. And I was like, well, tell me about your experience. They're like, well, they had a regular job and it was like, I would trade when I could, and I just didn't have a lot of success. And I was like, well, how many hours out of a day or a week are you trading or doing your research? And it was minimal. And I said, so you want minimum effort and maximum output. I said, well, where does that work? Unless there's a system that you've already created, like it don't work. So if you want to try your hand at trading, I wish you the best. It's something that I steer people away from, especially when you're starting out. So for this session, for the folks who've never invested, you're not going to become a trader. Just throw it out the window today. Like, just throw it out. You're not there yet. I don't want you to get excited about it. I want you to stay in your lane. If you're going to become a trader, you need time. Most of us don't have that. So when you think about our strategy from a different angle, maybe I need to place bets consistently, placing these trades consistently over a sustained period of time, as opposed to trying to do this thing day in and day out. If you have the time and can devote to it, I commend you. I don't even day trade. I don't have time. You got to pay attention. The market moves, and depending on what you're looking at, all the time. All the time, something is moving or happening that could affect what you're looking at from an investment standpoint. So I try to steer people away from just investing or trying to be a day trader. It's too challenging, and you lose a lot of money, honestly. You could lose a lot of money. All right. All right, so here's a couple things. Actually, I think it's not it for my slide deck, but yeah, we're getting close to we're gonna open it up here shortly. So three things to remember about investments: determine your time horizon and your risk tolerance. You gotta do those two things. If you just open an account and start placing bets, stop. We gotta flip it. Let's take our time and start thinking about how long I want to invest, and is this investment, whatever I'm into, in alignment with my risk preference. Oops. All right, so I put this one here too. This is a big hang up for a lot of people who are new to investing. You got to avoid paralysis by analysis, and know that while you're thinking, the world doesn't care. So if you, let's say after this session, you attend another session next week and the week after that, and you watch some YouTube videos and you go to NerdWallet or Investopedia or call your cousin, you haven't made a decision yet. And whatever you were looking at, that investment, it's gonna keep moving. I've missed out on a lot because there's this saying, and this kind of alludes back to the time. There is, like, the most successful people investing, it's about the time you spend in the market and not trying to time the market. And I'll say that again. It's more important to have time in the market versus trying to time the market. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Get in. You keep waiting. It's like the bus, man. You know how many times I've missed the bus? And I'm talking about from like school to adulthood. It stinks when you miss the bus. But another one's coming, right? So you got to think about it that way. So I've missed out on a lot of stuff that I just didn't pull the trigger on. I was thinking too long, or maybe I got busy. We're good for saying we're too busy. The opportunity you're looking at is not waiting for you. It's not waiting for the perfect weather, the perfect temperature, the perfect, amount of clouds in the sky, the perfect day when your kids aren't getting on your nerves. It doesn't care. An investment opportunity will show up, present itself, and then it's going to keep on moving. So you got to be courageous enough to just execute. And I'm speaking from experience because when there's something on my mind, I just got to do it. And if I don't, I may feel some kind of way about not doing it. And then this last one is it's fairly simple. Just so much free stuff out there that we don't take advantage of. And as I was alluding to earlier, I don't think you have an excuse. I don't think anybody has an excuse to not be able to at least build a simple or a foundation of education around investing because technology has enabled all of us to do the same thing. And you don't need a computer. Like we spend more time on our phones being social than probably reading stuff that's actually going to help us move forward in our lives financially or our career professionally. I'm just calling it out. We got the technology, but are we using it to our advantage? Some people are, others are not. So no matter where you are, just know there's somebody who's right there with you. You may not know them, or maybe you do. Maybe it's a good friend or a family member. So if you feel a little apprehensive about going down this investment route by yourself, I mean, that's kind of what this community for, if I'm not mistaken, right? This is a group where we're having these open and honest discussions, but it's still going to take you to absorb this information, do some of your own research even after tonight's session, and then make a decision. But now you have a collective or a group of people who will also be there with you. So wouldn't it be nice if every time y'all checked in, you say, you know what I invested in, and you told the story, and then, tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey, man, I made an investment. I did some research. It didn't work out. Or, hey, I got lucky. Somebody mentioned something. I placed a trade and it worked out. And you'll have these stories because that's investing. You will not always get it right. But if you don't take advantage of all the free stuff, something wrong with you. Maybe you're too gifted, but I am never not going to try to take some free stuff that can help me move forward. Good question. It's a question around the book. So I'm one of those, I'm a plow through it and just, and then do a review of the book. So again, the book's not going to take you that long, but some people are so afraid to talk about money, they can't just plow through my book, despite it being an easy, short read. So if you feel like you're the type where you can kind of read through and then do like a review and then kind of take your time and go back through, that might be helpful for some of you. If you just say you read the first question, you're like, hey, let me stop right here and start to work on your plan. I've had some people who shared that with me, that's what they did. They read the first question. I was like, all right, stop. Take my time, answer that question, think through that, after you read the chapters. Again, it's short book. So then you take your time. And I leave that to the individual. I'm not one to tell you how to do this. One, I'm not your financial planner. So I always say that to people. But two, you've grown. Look, I want you to drive. You're in the car or we're in the car together. You should be in the driver's seat. If you're in the passenger seat, the back seat, or the trunk, that's a problem. And that's what I find with financial planning and advice and strategies, that people want us as the practitioner to tell them what to do. And it sounds good until you begin to tell people what to do and they still don't do it. Prime example. So many years ago, it doesn't happen as much today, but it's always somebody who's like, hey man, you got a stock tip? And I'm like, nah, tips are for waiters. Right? So that's my comeback. Tips are for waiters. But every time I used to give a tip, I would follow up within a couple of days. And I would say, hey, did you take the recommendation? It was a tip. We didn't do a plan. You're not a client. You just asked me because these are like friends. What you looking at? Hey, here's what I'm looking at. And all I would say is, did you buy any of the stuff that I gave you a tip on? And the answer was always no. Always. So I want you to be an adult. You can make a decision. You do it all the time. You decide to show up tonight. My challenge to the group is, what do you do when you leave here tonight? Don't let paralysis analysis sink in. You've already been thinking about something. Even if I have never invested before, you're thinking about something. You're thinking about it. Read up on it a little bit more, figure out how much you want to put into it, and do it. Even if it's just you bought one share. Nobody's ever going to ask you when you say, hey, I'm an owner of that company. Most people don't ask you how much you own. I'm just telling y'all from experience. When I joke and I play around a lot, but I'm like, I own Apple and Google. So whether you're an Android user or iPhone, I appreciate y'all supporting my company. And it's legit because I own shares in both companies. I have a Verizon phone plan. So I pay my bill every month, but I'm kind of paying myself because I own Verizon stock. You got AT&T, T-Mobile. Like, these are things that we all should be thinking about from an investment standpoint of we're spending so much of our hard-earned money on all these different things, not realizing that we could have been participating as an owner. I don't own a lot of shares in these companies, but at any point I can say, you know what? I appreciate y'all supporting my company. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm an owner. I'm an owner. And ownership is cool, not just a consumer. All right. All right. So, all right, that's all I got for my presentation deck. That's the best I could do, y'all, the presentation deck. All right, so let me do this. And Tutorial, thank you I see we got a couple of people having issues with the links. I know we got enough to dish out tonight, so we'll clear all that up before we finish up tonight. And so is anybody here doing cryptocurrency right now? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Who in here, anybody doing it? And let me know. You can just say in the chat you did some, you bought some. Just let me know if you did some cryptocurrency. We're gonna talk about it right now. All right, Tiffany, what did you buy? Which coin did you buy? Or coins? So for everybody who's gonna respond, yes. So Tiffany, what did you buy? So yeah, if you did buy some, just tell me what you bought. Whichever coin. There's a lot out there. All right, so we got, okay, yep, we'll talk about Dogecoin. Okay. got some Bitcoin. Okay. Okay, we got a Coinbase account. Okay, good. So, thank you, Tiffany. All right. So I don't give advice on crypto because I still don't know. It ain't going nowhere, y'all. It's gonna be here, but how do we apply the coinage to like our everyday lives? And we're not there yet as a society. We're gonna get there at some point. So in my opinion, I think Bitcoin is gonna be like the gold standard, if you will. I think it's the oldest, most popular, and I think that will be a mainstay forever. That's what I believe. I look at Ethereum, I've heard of that, and a lot of like smart contracts from a business standpoint. So there are a lot of companies who are leveraging that coin specifically. And then you have just all these other coins. So we'll talk about Dogecoin. So what's wild is I got sucked in, y'all. I'm telling you, this is a real story. So I was not going to buy any Dogecoin, and I had some people in my investment group who were in when it was well below a penny. So they've made some good money. They made a good return on that investment. And if you remember that diagram, I didn't buy at the right time, y'all. The world was getting greedy, and I was like, I didn't even want to buy. I did it to prove a point. So let me take a look right now. All right, so right now, Doge is at, this is why I love crypto because it's like live. All right, so it's at 40 cents. So I bought in at, I'm just telling you, I bought in at 59. So this is what happened to me. I was at an A's game, and my boy was like, Elon Musk was going on Saturday Night Live, and I said this would be a good like cautionary tale of like why I tell people just don't do stuff because the world's talking about it. But I want to like have some skin in the game, so then it makes it like legit. I'm not just like telling you like I'm living it, so I can show you. So again, I got in at 59. and SNL came on. I did a live session on Instagram and I watched it go down. And so I've lost on this investment temporarily. And so I'll probably hold it. I have 100 coins, but I was like, you know what? This wasn't a part of my long-term strategy. This was an idea to show people that if you get sucked into the hype, you would have lost. Again, I bought it at 59, it's at 40. So let me see, I think it shows. So my return, and, it keeps moving because it's a 24-hour, 24/7 market. So my return is a negative, $19, or I'm down 32% from that initial trade. So it was a cautionary tale. If you got in when everybody else got in, you didn't make any money. And I'm in that boat. And I did it again to prove a point. Same thing happened with Bitcoin. They ran it up, it crashed, and then nobody talked about it. And this is real life. So last year, and this is, one of those when I say you got to pay attention, I had a subscription to a Bloomberg magazine, and I was behind on reading it, but I got to all of them. And they mentioned Bitcoin in maybe April or May. So we were like relatively fresh into the pandemic. And then in like September, October, they reported again, and it was at like 12,000. And I said, oh my God, just in April, it was at, 7 or 8, and now it's at 12. And then I just stopped looking at it. And then right around Christmas, ran it up. So I can't go back in time, y'all. So, maybe I could have made a lick, but I wasn't in it. So I think it's one of these areas where I think it's here to stay. I think some people have had some incredible success. Others have lost everything or trying. I just don't want this necessarily to be your first investment. Now, if it is, I can't stop you. You've grown, but you have done nothing else on the investment front, and now you're obsessed with crypto. In my world, it makes no sense that you can just begin with maybe one of the most riskiest things out there. That's not smart from a financial planning standpoint. And I credit myself, or I claim to be a financial planner or advisor, because I want you to tell me how this fits into your plan. And when I ask people like, why are you asking me questions about crypto? Well, because I saw it on the news, social media, my friends, blah, blah, blah. And I said, do your friends, did they ask you about the rest of your financial plan? So I have people, and here's the reality here. I'm investing money that I may need into cryptocurrency. And I'll give you an example. It's a bad one, but it's true. A friend of mine has 5 kids and no life insurance, and said to me, what do you think about crypto? I'm about to get in. And so he bought some. And I was like, you got 5 kids and no life insurance, and you're buying cryptocurrency? That's not guaranteed to pay out if you die. I got people who struggle and have terrible credit, but they're like, I'm gonna get into this crypto. And do what? You can't, like, keep the main thing the main thing. If crypto is an area of excitement for you, I just want people to get the rest of the plan intact, not perfect. And then crypto's gonna be very little in terms of your overall strategy. That's all that I do for my clients. That's all that I do. I'm not saying don't do any of it, because it's here to stay. But you've done nothing else. You can't even tell me what a stock is. You can't even tell me a basic definition of a stock, a bond, or a mutual fund. And you blowing me up about crypto. And you wonder why you broke. And if I hurt your feelings, sorry, because I'm not sorry. That's our problem. It's this shiny new toy that they dangle in front of you. The media has a job. It's to keep you locked in. It's to keep you on your phone. How is that putting money in your pocket, putting food on your table, funding your retirement, your investments, your emergency fund, improving your credit? Crypto ain't doing that, y'all. Like, this is my problem with anything that gets this kind of fanfare. Because again, if you look at that diagram, when the world is talking about it, it's probably gonna fizzle out, maybe. Not saying it can't keep going, it's just you missed the big upswing. So when nobody was talking about pick a company, that's when everybody made the most money. So by the time the world started talking about Dogecoin, so my guy in my investment club, he made a ton of money because he was like, well, nobody talking about it. And I got in then. So as everybody kept talking, like, I helped make him some more money, because yeah, it dropped back down to 40, but He was in when it was well below a penny. So if you're gonna get into the crypto space, follow a few coins is my recommendation. You can't go wrong with doing the popular ones like an Ethereum or Bitcoin, and just watch it. If you're gonna play in it, watch it. Read up on how they're leveraging that coin. If you see some practical application to the real world, it might be worth it. And so, what I also think, this is again my opinion, I don't know, but I'm just kind of thinking, when you go to any merchant or even online, there are two primary companies that run the world of transactions: Visa and MasterCard. Now, Discover, nobody respects them, but it's an option. American Express, great company. Everybody doesn't take American Express. When you think about the grand scheme, MasterCard and Visa. So I think about crypto, I think maybe at some point Bitcoin is going to be that. So now, your grocery store will take Bitcoin. There are businesses that take Bitcoin and people are doing business with crypto, but will it be a Bitcoin or somebody else's coin? And I say that because I think that's how the powers that be want it to play out. For example, Elon goes on SNL and Dogecoin tanks. And then I think on Monday or Tuesday, he announces that if you want to go to one of his, Mars extravaganzas on his space shuttle through SpaceX, you can pay for it in Dogecoin. So I'm going to dictate how you pay me if I have that type of influence. So maybe, and I joke, but like, let's say LeBron James creates a coin and says, if you want to buy LeBron James merchandise, you got to pay for it with the LB23 coin. People are going to be buying his coin just because they love LeBron. Or pick your favorite, your favorite famous entertainer, artist. Just think about how the game, it's a game, everybody. If somebody wants to run it up, they can. If they want to set the tone and what they'll accept for payment, they probably will at some point. So I'm not saying, again, don't pay attention. I need you to pay attention to the rest of your plan first. And whatever else, if you have some money left over and you want to play around with crypto, then go play around. But too many people are skipping everything else and going right to crypto. I don't think that's a winning solution. Some of you will get lucky. And I think somebody had posted that they made a good lick on Bitcoin or one of the coins. So you can, but also think about this. The government's trying to figure out how to tax this stuff. So many years ago, there wasn't this, with Coinbase going public, they kind of have to share certain information to the government or to the governing bodies, right? Because now you're public. So they got to know what's going on. So many years ago, a friend of mine who has been in cryptocurrency for a very long time, he made a lot of money and he cashed it out. I'll say he had a strategy for cashing it out, and he actually put himself through grad school with the proceeds from cryptocurrency. But this is like, gosh, it's probably 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. So it wasn't as popular of a topic as it is now. And so be mindful of like how this is going to play out with your tax situation, because the world doesn't know yet. It's new. So that's my little spiel on crypto. I would just say, think about the rest of your plan first, and then pursue maybe some crypto, but make it very little of your overall plan. All right. So any questions, folks? So this is your time. So I'm an open book. If you got questions about specific topics, or I know some people want some like quick advice, I'll give you more than happy to share my 2 cents. But this is your time. This is your time. You only got no questions. No questions. All right, here we go. All right, Alfred. Appreciate you, Alfred. So real estate. I'm glad you brought it up. I was waiting. All right, so here's my thing on real estate. California real estate is expensive, so you might want to look outside of the state. That if you think about physical, like property ownership, it's expensive if you're in California. But let me ask you all this. Did you know, you can say yes or no in the chat. Did you know that you don't need good credit or a lot of savings to get real estate? Did you all know that you don't need good credit, you don't need a lot of money to get real estate? You can just say yes or no if you knew that. Okay. All right, sort of. All right, so I'm gonna hit y'all with some game here. All right, so and this has nothing to do with physical property ownership. So I'm gonna do this for everybody. I'm gonna give y'all a homework assignment, and I'm gonna put y'all on game because this is where the world is, and I'll explain here. And the reason I want you all to ask the question because I'm not a real estate guy. I understand it how it plays into your overall strategy, but the world has told you that building wealth has to happen a certain way, and we have internalized that belief. So let me do this. I'm gonna type this in and I'll explain. So if you search this, it's a real estate investment trust. It's called a REIT. This is real estate, but it's not physical property ownership. So certain communities and certain people have an obsession with real estate for one reason. And you may have heard this, maybe you haven't. The fact that you can touch it is the reason people obsess over real estate. Has anybody ever heard that before? It's an obsession. So everybody who does development, who is an agent, like they have an obsession because they can touch it. This is like an old school thing. If I can touch it, I can see it, I believe in it, I invest in it, right? So this is why people are obsessed with real estate. So, but here's the reality. If you don't have any money, this is a big issue why we don't have a lot of home ownership because you can't afford it, especially if you're in California. So you can't afford it. And so you're like, well, I guess I won't ever own. Move out of the state if you really want to own a house and can't afford it. Move. But we're like, I want to live in California because of the weather. Blah. You're making excuses. If you really wanted a house and you can't afford it here, you should move. Pick up and go. Find you a job elsewhere. Peace out. Or figure out how you're gonna make this money and get the property you want. I just saw somebody put, showing off a house is also a reason. We want to show y'all. So like when I say I got some wealth, I can like, that's my building, that's my skyscraper. It's a braggadocious type of thing. So a REIT or a real estate investment trust, it's a security. You can just place a trade for it and you have real estate in your portfolio. So I want everybody to take a look at REITs and their different types. But I've had real estate since I was 21 and I've never physically owned real estate. And when you do a REIT, they don't care what color you are, because we know the issues with minorities and getting loans. They don't care about your race, but you can have real estate. But nobody tells us this. Everybody can have real estate tomorrow. There is a REIT out there that you can probably afford to get into. I guarantee there's one you can find. I'm in one. I'm in a couple. But nobody tells you this. It's just I should buy real estate. So thank you. I think it was Alfred who asked about real estate, because all we think about is I gotta own a house. I gotta have an apartment complex. I should do duplex, the triplex, the fourplex. That's all we talk about, owning property. You can own property in an investment. The REIT is a culmination of a whole bunch of real estate stuff. A whole bunch. I've had real estate for a long time, y'all. I don't physically own a property, but I've always had real estate. And you got people who I've met who are in their 40s, 50s, or even older, 60s. I just want to own a house. It's the American way. What America are you following? If we're going to disrupt generational poverty, we got to start thinking differently, y'all. We got to think differently about it. It's not the way they told you it has to be. There are alternatives, but we're never going to explore them because we don't know anybody who ever told us about a REIT. Somebody's mind is probably blown right now. And you're probably like, man, my credit's so jacked, I'm never getting a house. You could have had a REIT and had real estate. If that was the goal, right? Or people say, well, I want to get real estate for the passive income. Well, REITs pay dividends. Some are monthly and some are quarterly. So there goes your payment. I'm just telling you what people tell me. I want to get a house for the passive income. Get you a REIT, pays you every quarter. Buy enough shares, you'll get a payout every quarter, or maybe it's monthly. There are different price points in terms of how you can get in, but they all got to pay dividends because that's the rule of having a real estate investment trust. It has to pay out dividends. Has to. Somebody's probably like, man, why didn't I meet this brother 10 years ago? And you can thank the East Oakland Collective for bringing me in and having this conversation.
Jasper, we got a lot of questions,
Yeah.
a few questions in chat about REITs. First off, how do you go about finding REITs? That's my personal question. And then the other questions are, is buying shares in a REIT a long-term strategy? How often is your return? Everything else.
Yeah. So these are good. So I'm doing a long term. Most people buy real estate for long term, right? You're gonna have your own primary residence. You're gonna pay a mortgage for 30 years. So it's gonna be worth something along the way, but you really don't own it until 30 years or 15 if you pay off your mortgage. So for me, it's a long-term strategy. The return is going to vary. It's a security, so it'll ebb and flow based on the investments it has within it. So some REITs focus on residential, some focus on commercial, some focus on short-term leases, some focus on shopping centers, some focus on just businesses like there's so many. So again, y'all's homework assignment, because somebody's probably like, I got to figure this out. Just do a search into Google or YouTube University. I gave y'all some free resources, Nerd Wallet, Investopedia. You got to take your time and learn, because for me, it's a long-term play. I've had real estate since I was 22. I ain't had no money. My credit's been good, but we're always trying to find out how can we get stuff. And somebody's probably like, man, this brother just told me, son, I wish somebody would have told me years ago. And they all have different price points. So there's not like one in particular. This is like your challenge. I want you to figure out, like, is this worth me putting some money into? Most people don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, or I'll say thousands for a down payment, but maybe every month or every couple of weeks, I could be putting a little money into a REIT. So I still get real estate in my overall portfolio while I clean up my credit, while I save the money, or, figure out how I'm going to get that mortgage or get that loan. So that return is going to vary on the REIT you select. These aren't going to be your high growth tech stocks. Like, they're not going to do that. Like, they're not going to be like $10 a day and $1,000 2 weeks from now. Like, you're not going to see that type of massive growth unless it was probably some new development that it's going to have a very unique type of REIT if that were to happen. But again, the fact that they have to pay a dividend, that is technically income. Now, with the dividends that I receive, I just reinvest it because I don't want the money. But over time, if I gobble up more shares, let's just say I just stay on this current strategy I have right now, and 30 years from now, I'm gonna have hundreds of thousands of shares. That dividend grows with respect to how many shares I have. So maybe that dividend every quarter pays me $5,000. So every quarter, I can bank on getting $5,000 just because I own some shares. And maybe I haven't put any more money into it. So for me, it's a way that I get real estate. Now, if you want to physically own, to Alfred's question, good luck you staying in California. There are a lot of programs that can help you. So I don't know a lot of them. Again, I'm not a realtor, not an agent. Like, real estate is not my thing, but there are a lot of programs for people who are like first-time home buyers, and take advantage of all the money that's out there. And depending on what county you're looking in, they got programs. And depending on your earning, like, they want people to own houses, because people who own houses tend to be better stewards and citizens because you own something. Just, if you rent in a big apartment complex, some people just don't care because they don't own it. When you don't own stuff, you kind of don't care as much. But when you own it, you're like, ooh. I know people who own their car and they wash their car every week and it ain't even dirty. But because they own it and they feel that sense of ownership, they wash that car and it's always clean and it smells good. So I think that has something to do with owning a property, is that it almost kind of forces you to be more disciplined and responsible, because you got to pay that mortgage and you want it to look nice and you want the equity to build. So I just actually saw this question. Thank you. to reach out to me. If you want to rock with me, hit me up. I'll do this right now. I'll take a quick pause into action. So let me do this. So if you're interested in connecting with me, and again, I don't work magic, y'all. I just try to give people the game and see what they're gonna do with everything. But give me a second. I want to reach out. Let me see here. I am going to do this. If give me a second here. I'm just gonna send you all to my website. And at the bottom of my website, I have a contact us. Just hit me up and let's talk. And for everybody who's on here, I usually do a complimentary, I call it a discovery call, like most professionals. Based on what you put on the contact us section at the bottom, then we'll spend a good, I kind of do maybe 20 minutes. I don't need to go much longer. Let's just get to the point. Everybody has different needs and wants from a financial planning perspective, but you can go to my website, thebuildwealthmovement.com, fill out the contact us section. I'll follow up and we'll schedule a discovery call and see what you might need and what might be helpful for you going forward. So you don't have to work with me ever. I'm gonna be honest with you about, whatever you give me. I'm gonna say, hey, if that's all I'm gonna work on with you, that's fine. I'm gonna stay in my lane. So feel free to check out my website and fill out the contact us section at the bottom. Tiffany says she should move to Susu money. But this is so, you're planning your money. You should do what you want to do. And again, I'm going to recommend just search REITs, look them up, and you're going to find some. You can be like, that's all they cost to get into. Like one of my buddies was telling me one, I don't have the ticker in front of me. It was like $15 a share. Buy 2 shares. So some of these, they're way more expensive, but I just want you to believe that everybody can do this thing called investing. And society, for some reason, has tricked us or brainwashed us into thinking that, well, I don't earn a lot, so I can't do this, or I don't make enough, or I can't do it. I don't need an advisor. Yes, you do. Everybody needs a financial plan, be it simple or complex. And if you can't or aren't seeing the results you want and you've been going at it alone, I'm gonna highly recommend you consider connecting with some people and figuring it out. Or just like my boy, go to YouTube and just watch videos until you figure it out on your own. It's a little more time consuming, but it's free. Pick and choose, something I want to get done. I need to pay for the convenience, pay for it, move on. I don't have that kind of time to waste, y'all. Like, we got one life to live. And if you keep sitting around and waiting, you just might not get the results you want. Let's see. I see a good question here. So can you look at equity, rental property, and multiple properties? The question's around, can you look at equity? And I'm assuming that's like owning stock or equity in like a business or a company, if I'm not mistaken, having rental properties and multiple properties as investment strategies. Absolutely. You want to have a variety. I got real estate friends who only do real estate and avoid the stock market. And I'm almost like, why? Like, if it can make you money, you don't have to work at it. Why wouldn't you consider it? So I'm all for staying in my lane, but if I have some money to play with, I want to think about, can I make some different plays? Because if you think about the risk, I'm taking, there's a risk that a business might not make it. There's a risk that if I have rental properties, I'm gonna have horrible tenants. Y'all know folks are nasty out here. And when they don't own it, they don't care about keeping your place nice. I'm just being real. So if you're going down the rental route and you want to have properties here or out of the state and you want to do the triplex, duplex thing or fourplex, you got to deal with people. And y'all know there's some nasty people out here and they going to mess your stuff up. So all you're going to find is you're going to always be, fixing something. Real estate, here's my thing, Alfred. Thank you for bringing this up. People who don't own are obsessed with real estate, but don't understand how much work goes into it. That's the part of why I felt like I don't want to do property management and own a lot, because I don't want the headache of dealing with people, and I ain't that handy yet. So, I'm like, I got to pay somebody to fix stuff. So I think for me, it's like, well, when I am ready to own, which, I've been working on it, but personally, I think me and my wife to be shortly, she just bought a crib in Jersey, and we're looking at some property in North Carolina, where I'm originally from. We're gonna rent here in California, but we technically are gonna be owners, just not here in Cali. There's nothing wrong with that because it's in alignment with our plan. So I stopped trying to judge what everybody else was doing. I accept it, I acknowledge it, but then I'm like, what do I want? And most people cannot answer that question, which is why we just say it's got to be real estate. And then when I shared REIT with somebody, they were like, I could have had real estate years ago. And yes, you could have for the low, even with jacked up credit. So just be thinking about that. Let's see what else we got here. This is a good one. So, I'll say social green, or I think they call them environmentally, yeah, the feel good types of investments. I am not an expert on that. I think that I'm not saying it's a scam because there are legitimate companies who are being environmentally friendly, socially responsible, but I think they got to produce, because if I invest, I want to make money. And there's some companies that have done it pretty well over a sustained period of time. I'm not an expert in that space, but the knock on some of these socially responsible funds, I'll call, not the individual companies, is where is how are you measuring how socially responsible they are? Because at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, there's always, I'll say, positive things that are happening and negative things as a result of your action. So I could be doing the most good in the world, but I could still be doing a little bit of wasteful stuff in order to do the good, if that makes sense. There are going to be these trade-offs. You're going to have these trade-offs of trying to do the right thing, but I'm still going to do a little bit of damage. So that's a problem for some people. There are funds that in title are socially responsible, but if you look down and see what the makeup is, you'll find companies that aren't socially responsible because the funds have to get a return. So the bulk of the list may have environmentally friendly, socially green, conscious type of stuff, but the largest holdings will be a Walmart, an Apple, a Facebook, something that's making money. So that helps the overall return of the fund. So it's still hard to do all this quote unquote good and get really good returns. That's my take on it. I try to do my best to do well by the environment, but it's just kind of hard, right? Something's got to give. We can't have this perfect world, and so I think if you can come to grips with that, I think you can still do a lot of good, make good money, but something still is going to happen as a result of even all the good work that you're doing. Let's see. So, somebody mentioned solar. Same type of deal. I don't know. I think it was hot for a minute. I just haven't watched that market and seeing how, is solar really going to be the it thing for us? And partially because if people are aware, here's something you got to think about investments. Where is the world going? So we're trying to get greener. That may be an opportunity you look into. With solar, or if you think about battery and cars and how all these cars are going electric, where are you going to charge your car? So we have these, I'll say we're kind of spoiled at being in California and being at Tesla's, down in Fremont. But, in the rest of the world, people are like, oh my God, a Tesla. I'm like, seeing a Tesla out here in the Bay is like seeing a Prius back in the day. It's just the norm. So think about where the world is going. That may also kind of pique your interest around where you should be investing. So the world's trying to get cleaner. So thinking about, more electric vehicles, solar, the storage of energy, right? I think even California has this 4 to 9 type of thing, right? So we should be not be doing laundry and being on the computers and cutting lights on between 4 to 9. So I think these are opportunities we should pay attention to. But at the end of the day, how are we going to make money off of these savings? Because that's what it's really going to boil down to. But pay attention to what's going on in the world. That's the other piece of advice I give anybody. Just pay attention. If you just read headlines over the course of a month, you will know what's going on in the world. And you may be able to make some decisions from the investment standpoint based on just the headlines. And it ain't all about America, as a lot of you probably know. This is a global economy, and things happen in other countries that affect what happens here in America. So let's see. right. Let's see. Okay. So question is around, does the 50-30-20 plan apply to every individual? I believe so. The 50-20-30 plan is a budgeting strategy that I adopted because it was easy. I think everybody can take a stab at it and try it out and see how effective it can be. And if you need more detail, the old school way of budgeting actually helps out. And oh, I'm sorry, I read it wrong. So you wrote 50-30-20, but actually I do 50-20-30. So for all of you, you'll see it in the book. But the reason I do the 20% for the financial obligations is because we're so trapped in our lifestyle and our habits that it's hard for us to think about putting money into something else. Like, I'm more aware of trying to look fly when I step out into these streets as opposed to putting more money into my investment account. It's hard to change those habits. So as you look at your financial obligations, I would prefer more people to give a little bit more attention to the financial stuff in their lives, and then just watch how the rest of your life begins to change and evolve. Just think about it, right? The people who this is real life. The people who have more money tend to live longer, live healthier, and overall just more happy in some regards, like generally speaking, right? Money's not the answer to every question, but it makes a big difference in terms of how you lead your life. And there are, I forget the organization, but they did this research across the country and they can dictate like your life expectancy based on your zip code. Scary stuff, y'all. Like just being born into a certain zip code and living there your whole life is a good indication of how long you're gonna live. And part of what it boils down to is just what does the community have that allows you to flourish? If you're always worried about figuring out your next meal, you can't be worried about investments. There's just some things that are going to take precedence over investing. And when I do these chats with, I'll say, we'll call them underserved communities, it's we can't get the basics down, so we can never get to the investments. Or we jump at the crypto idea. It's like, it's the same reason people play the lottery. Like, I got some corner stores where I go, pick up snacks. And it's always like these people with the scratch offs. It's like, man, I just win this lottery. You need to have your plan ready now about what would happen if you won the money. See, we don't think about that. We're so excited about the potential of getting a windfall of money. We're not even ready. Like, and I know you're not ready because there's somebody on this session right now where you got a promotion or a new job and you just started acting a fool, buying stuff you never thought you would buy or could afford, or you'd already told yourself that when you get the job or the promotion, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then you did it. And so what happens is you get this, we call it lifestyle inflation. So now because I'm, pick your title, you feel like I should be doing this. I should eat there. I should do this, this and nah. Just because you make more money doesn't mean you start acting different. Your life is going to change. Don't get me wrong. But like, as you think about your overall strategy, like your conversation should start to change, or it will change when you have more money in your bank accounts, in your retirement accounts, in your investment accounts, when your family is taken care of, when you eliminate some of these stressors in your life gets better. Money plays a big role in that. And for people who don't invest, my question is, how do you expect to disrupt generational poverty if you haven't learned investing? It's going to be very challenging. I like this question. So is spending plan different from a budget plan? Nah, it's just a play on words. Uh, if you all haven't noticed throughout this time, a lot of this stuff is just behavior. If you haven't noticed, it's the way we think about and process this information. So a spending plan was started, coming into the conversation because when you say budget, people cringe. It's that negative connotation, but everybody knows how to spend money. Like I don't have to coach you on spending, or I should coach you on spending, but you just spend money because it's a natural thing to do. We are a consumption society. So you know how to spend when you're a little kid because you're watching your family do it. So if I have to call it a spending plan, then maybe that will help you with quote unquote budgeting, because now you are aware of where your money goes. So it's a play on words. Whatever is going to help you to move forward, run with it. If you got to play tricks with yourself to get what you do, it. So a spending plan is, more palatable for most people because it's well, I like spending money and I need a plan for that, don't I? Yeah. Plan to spend on yourself, plan to spend on your family, plan to spend some money in your investment account, plan to spend some money in your retirement account. If I say budget, you're like, I got to cut something out of my life. And that's usually what happens when people do budgets or say budget. They just, it's that negativity around the word. So a spending plan is no different from a budget. It's just maybe I have to say spending plan to get you to act, to execute, to get past this problem. And if you don't address it, it doesn't go away. All right, what else y'all got? This is good. This is good. Y'all got me with the real estate. Y'all said I got fired up on that one. So I'm glad somebody asked the question because I was kind of just waiting because I knew that was gonna come up. So what else we got here? Savings account, no, 0.5, it's not good, but if a savings account has any interest rate, my take on that is save enough to build your emergency fund, which is always going to be that 3 to 6 months worth of, essential expenses, but rates are always going to change. And let me see here. If you're one of these people who wants to really like shop around and see what accounts at what financial institution have the different rates, and this is just one that I know of. There are others. Hold on, I'm gonna try to pull it up right quick and give you all the link in the chat. Give me 1 second. Like I know, I want to say NerdWallet might do this too. There's some other sites, but the one that I still use is bankrate.com. So if you do want to shop around and see what banks or credit unions are doing better from an interest rate standpoint, have at it. Because I ain't searching that long. They're all going to be low, in my opinion. So I'm not going to waste all this time trying to make 0.5 per year. That's just me. So that's so yeah. When you have a little bit of interest and it's around like, am I losing that 0.5% for the year? Am I losing that with the monthly fee? Absolutely, it's a wash. So, and I didn't say this during the banking thing around risk, but this is the problem, right? So the bank is paying you point nothing, and yet they're loaning out to like mortgages and small businesses at way higher rates. Do y'all know that's how the game works? Banks or credit union take your money and it's always being lended out. That's their goal. Now the money's there for you to recoup it because they have reserves, but they're paying you nothing. And then they're taking your money and going and making a whole bunch more. That's the game, y'all. I pay you nothing to hold it. I'm gonna charge you. Think about it, right? Think about it. They pay you 0.5 or point nothing. You want to get a loan for something like, oh, we're gonna charge you, 4 or 5%. That's a big variance. That's how they make their money. Not wrong. It's just that's the reality of the business. That's how it works. So I love having some money that's safe, that that's going to be there when I need it. But I can't get caught up in just trying to keep my money safe because I will forego the opportunity to make more money. I forego that opportunity. All right. What else y'all got? What else? Anybody else? What you got? This is your time. Let's take full advantage. Yes, I've heard of Forex. Good luck. Wish you the best. Same thing. Forex is currency trading. Currency market, just like crypto, it's 24/7. The world never sleeps. So we go to sleep here, it's daytime somewhere else. I got people do the same stuff. Oh, what you think about Forex trading? You haven't talked to me about any part of your financial plan and you calling me about Forex. I don't do it. I know people who've had some success at it, but I personally don't involve myself in things that I don't have time to devote to. So if you want to get involved with Forex trading, there are some platforms. I won't call them schemes, but they're like network marketing where you can like learn and then try to bring people into the community. Look, man, again, you can't tell me what a stock is. You shouldn't be worried about a 24/7 market. Just my take. Again, all the stuff that I tend to hear around investing, sometimes it's just so risky, but yet that's where people want to start. You don't do that in your life. You don't start out with the most riskiest opportunity. It's kind of like dating. This is funny, y'all. You don't go for the person you know you ain't got a chance with. You try your luck with somebody else you build your momentum, you build the confidence. I need everybody to build that confidence first with their investment strategy before they do the alternative stuff, the forex, the crypto, the options, whatever else that nobody in your neighborhood does, but you've heard. That I need you to stay in your lane, build that confidence. I'm not going to holler at the prettiest person in the room until I'm confident that I can get them. Same with investments. Until you have the confidence in the rest of your strategy, stop worrying about this other stuff. And here's why. The people who will approach you around, I'll say these riskier options or opportunities, here's the trick. Here's how you can see who's full of it. Call them in 3 and then 6 months and leave yourself a reminder. Most people will be out of the business. Most of them. Don't believe me? Try it out. Today's May the 20th. You probably got hit up in your DMs on Instagram. Hey, you want to get into cryptocurrency or forex trading? And they got pictures of Lamborghinis and jets and jewelry and all the stuff that's going to trap you with the visuals. And you're like, oh, I can make all that money. Not today. Maybe over time if you put some real effort into it. But hit up those people in 6 months. Right. They're going to DM you all day on all they just want to see, are you going to be the next sucker to give them some money that you probably need for something else in hopes of making it? You can make money in all these things. It's just, you ain't got no time. You got to be willing to devote the time. I'm not even saying you got to become an expert. You ain't got no time right now. So you're jumping to the most riskiest thing out there. And you're willing to give your hard-earned money to something that you can't even explain to your kids. Or I'm over here trying to help you with the basics of actually helping you, and people avoid me and dodge me like the plague. Thank you for the update. Yes, we got 10 minutes left. So my thing is, look, man, we got to stop living in these fantasy islands. Look, the people that you may associate yourself with, if you have not seen any positive progress in 3, 6, 9 months, or even a year, why are you still listening to them? Why are you still taking advice? Again, people avoid me like the plague, and I keep going one way, up. Despite life setbacks and struggles, somehow, some way, I just keep doing this like upward thing. So people say, well, I heard this from Mr. Bill Wealth. It was legit. Because I hear it all the time. Well, I heard, who you hear from? It's never somebody who's like a professional. Generally, it's somebody they found and you haven't validated who they are. You can look, I'm on the internet. I'm not even trying to hide. So, let's be mindful of where we are. Again, you have no excuse as to why you can't invest in something. Why you can't invest in something. Yeah, emergency fund, 3 to 6 months. The more, the better. I still have a goal of trying to have enough savings for a year. So in case I want to quit and just chill and hang out, I can live. I ain't nowhere close. I get to like 6 and then I kind of fall off the wagon. But at least I got 3. So yeah, savings is a big one. And again, if you haven't checked that one off your list, again, why are you worried about cryptocurrency and other stuff? You can't even save money. So at least, again, there's a process in order, okay? So just keep that in mind as y'all think about investing in your strategy. Have you done the savings part? And don't give me this, well, if my investment makes me money, that'll become my savings. That's too much risk for me. Chances are you ain't gonna make it. So, do what you gotta do, but I think you can save first and maybe you invest a little bit until you save enough and then you begin to invest more. So did we what? I just thought about it, y'all. Did we have another poll question? And I totally just remembered. I thought we had 2 poll questions. I don't even remember what it was now. But we got into it so quick. But yeah, I if we didn't have it, I don't think it's that important now. Actually, yeah, I think I remembered it. So I'm gonna, Candace, if you have that second poll question ready, I just want to see something. If you have it, if not, it's okay. And then actually, I know we have about 7 minutes left. So I'm gonna conclude my remarks here just by saying thank you to the East Oakland Collective for having me out for another jam session for the Susu. And my only question to you will be, what do you do next? So, Tori, I'm gonna throw it back over to you and let you close this thing out with some housekeeping.
Okay, Tatori may have stepped away.
Okay.
But thank you, Jasper, for another awesome session on what we as people of color need to do to really build game in this financial system, in this financial world, with definitely cards stacked against us, but something that we can build upon with the more we equip ourselves with knowledge. Thank you to everyone else for being guests tonight and joining us, whether you are a part of the East Oakland Susu Lending Circle program, or you heard about this webinar through the interwebs and you're joining us. Definitely tap in. Please read your free copy of Jasper's book that everyone should have received a link to. Jasper did put, I think, his info in the chat, so you can follow up. I know there was one question about following up with you, Jasper, to do consulting for their personal investing. So definitely visit a website. Jasper, can you give us your website again?
Yeah, just post it again and just fill out the contact us section at the bottom. And there is, I think, like, how did you hear about me? If you just put Susu, I'll know you were here. So that'll be my kind of tip about, we definitely gonna talk. So now I told you I'm willing to help and talk to you. So yeah, definitely the buildwealthmovement.com at the very bottom, the contact us section, and we'll do a discovery call and we'll see what kind of magic we can work out.
Awesome. And friendly reminder, we host these financial literacy workshops every third Thursday, and same time, 6 to 8 on Zoom. Please reach out to us. You can hit us up at info@eastoaklandcollective.com if you have any topics or ideas for the remaining sessions for the rest of the year. We definitely want to tailor these to our participants in the East Oakland Susu Lending Circle program. When we end this webinar, the survey will pop up in your browser. Please take the survey. We welcome feedback. For those who are part of the scholarship pilot, we require you to take the survey. It's one way that we know that you attended this webinar. So Tori, unless you have anything else to add, we're gonna wish everybody a good night.
Nothing to add other than thank you, and we will see y'all next month. Thank you, Jasper.
All right, thanks a lot. Everybody, enjoy your night.